Hi, I'm Anthony from Sydney Backyard Veggies. It's been a real hot week in my patch this week. We've had a bit of a heat wave here at the moment, so it's been a bit of a struggle for me keeping the water up to the plants to make sure they're surviving the warmer days. Been doing a lot of work, starting to plant out a lot more veggies and really getting things going as we move into summer. This video is a recount of what I've been doing in my veggie patch over the past week and what my plans are for the week coming up as we head into late November and start of summer. This video is a recount of the work I've done in my patch over the last week ending 24th of November. I'm over at my second planting of cucumbers, and this week I've been spending the week trellising those vines along the string trellis. They are actually about halfway up now, and it's just been a daily chore just to twist, and as you can see, just to twist that vine along the string. I did apply the first round of fertilizer side dressing to these plants. I added a bit of chicken manure pellets and some potash to the base of each of the plants, and that would be enough for them now for about 6 weeks. I am starting to see the first flowers come through, which is great, which is a good sign that these will be producing in about 2 weeks time. This cucumber variety is a soft fertile greenhouse variety where it doesn't produce any male flowers, only female flowers. Over at my first planted cucumbers that I've been struggling with over the last few weeks, finally bit the bullet on the weekend and got them removed. They were just too riddled with spider mites, and they never really took off when they were first planted, and I'll probably put that down to have them just planted just a tad too early in the season. I did plant them at the start of September, but what I have done since is backfilled that row with some additional corn seedlings. Now these seedlings are now a week younger than these, and the idea is they will catch up pretty quickly. But looking at my corn planting, they're looking really good. I'm really annoyed with sometimes when the wind picks up and it does knock off some of their heads and it just breaks them, but the rest of them look okay. To really prevent them from breaking in the wind, I am going to next week add more fertilizer, and then I'm going to hill the soil around the base, because the wind this year is actually quite strong. It's been knocking, I'm finding my last 3 plantings of corn each have been damaged to some degree with the wind, so moving that soil early and getting them really supported, hopefully I can save a few of those corn seedlings. Over at my first planting of corn, and this is almost ready to harvest, I pulled back some of the ears and we're looking, you know, this one here, oh, it's got a little grub on it, which I'll get rid of. But this one here, it's probably just still a bit white, so this one's probably still got another 3 or 4 days to grow. But I had a few look at a few of the ones at the back, and yeah, all of them have got varying. This one almost looks like it's ready. I probably can do another day or so. This one did get, no, there it is. These earworms, even though you spray, the idea is as soon as they start, you need to up the spray regime so they don't eat the corn, but that's okay. I'll get around it. I reckon 2 more days, 2 to 3 days, and these corns will be ready to harvest. I want to clear this bed sooner rather than later. Really got to start my next planting, so this time next week I'll probably start harvesting these maybe Friday, so 3 or 4 days. Probably hard to harvest the whole bed, and I prep this bed. I'm looking at planting cucumbers and other cucurbits in this spot. And over at my second planted corn, this is growing really fast, but as I was just saying before about the wind breaking the plants, as you can see right here, they just seem to break the heads off, and too much wind knocking them around. As soon as these are ready, I've already hilled them to make sure they don't get broken, but they're doing okay. Gonna hit them with 1 more round of fertilizer and then see how they go. Over at my main tomato plantings, and I have been harvesting a lot of fruit off these plants. Now I've already harvested, I went through today and already harvested a lot of this fruit. I am again seeing a little bit of damage with the caterpillars just because I haven't been spraying as often, but that's fine. They get fed to the chickens. I haven't seen any fruit fly damage yet, and I actually did go buy some fruit fly bags. That had some exclusion bags which I was going to try to put on these tomatoes, but the bunches are too big for the bag, so I'm going to continue on with my technique of growing tomatoes early. I will, and then harvesting as much as I can, but I will be looking at, in future plantings, trying to see if I could set them up in a way that I could, if I needed to, install some exclusion netting. Yeah, on a side note as well, with these tomatoes, I am starting to see more damage coming through. It's not spider mites, I think it's some sort of blight. I am pruning a lot of these leaves, but look, I am happy to harvest this crop off as it is and just have the plants just get replaced in about 6 weeks time. I will, if I need to, I may, once it cools down, spray with a bit of wettable sulfur just to put that off at bay, hold that disease at bay, prune those bad leaves, those damaged leaves off. But the problem is, with the heat that we're having at the moment, try not to use wettable sulfur. When the temperature goes over 28, 29 degrees, it will burn the plants. So I'm waiting for it to cool down. Midweek it'll be cooling down, and then I'll give it a spray. Over at my second planting of tomatoes, this one is the Farah. I really love this tomato. I'm really starting to become my favorite. These tomatoes are much bigger, the flavor's beautiful, and they're very productive. The only downside is I find that the Thunder that we have planted over there are ripening faster than the Farah, but they do make up with it with flavor and with size. I do have a lot of tomatoes forming up now. The tomatoes here tend to be a lot more sun on them, so these ones should be ripening soon. Again, I'm not seeing much in terms of disease coming through these yet. They might be a bit more disease resistant, but they are quite a big plant. Look, these are at 1.8 meters. I'm about that 6 foot height, and they're taller than me at the moment. Over at my cherry tomatoes, and at the start of last week, I had just having a quick look at them, and the fruit had just started ripening. So I've been picking my first cherry tomatoes, but I also had a mold go through it because there was so much leaf matter that the leaves weren't drying, and mold was just going rampant in the lower leaves. So I have pruned a lot of it back. Now that prune was done 5 days ago, and it just shows you how fast the plants grow back. I've removed a lot of leaves, and again, a little bit of blight coming through, but I'm expecting that at this time of the season as we're coming into summer. Not as productive as they have been in previous years. May not have been the best location. I had previously planted them over in the eggplants, and they seem to have done a lot better, and likewise I planted them over near the lemon tree in previous seasons. But there's still heaps of flowers in them, and you can just see heaps of nice growth at the top. So I'm hoping to keep them going. Over at my beans, the jade bush beans first planting, I've essentially harvested most of the crop, but what I wanted to show everyone is that it is starting to flower, and you can just see right there the second round. Now the second round isn't going to be as pretty as the first round, and we do have a little bit of spider mite damage coming through, and that's just spider mite there, which is no problem. I will just give them a bit of a spray with wettable sulfur when it cools down, hoping to get another harvest in about 3 weeks time. The flowers are all across the 4 rows. Over in the northern side of my patch, where I'd originally tried to plant my second planting of jade seeds, they never germinated, so I dug that place over and planted 4 rows of Jackson. I planted this last year. It's not as good as the jade bush beans, but these are quite productive as well. And they do put a nice bean, not as long as the jade, but I planted them out here. I did get some seedlings germinate from my last planting of jade bush beans, and I was able to get a row out, so I've planted them out. Expecting these to germinate in another 2 days or so. Likewise, I planted 3 rows of Italian Romano here. Again, they were planted at the same time. The Jackson's about 6 days ago, so they should be germinating. Need a little bit more water on them as well, just to keep the soil moist. And just turn around just to give you an update on the first planted Italian Romano. They look like they're going to vine, but in actual fact this variety just puts out these short vines and they stay as a bush. And my Bellotti bush beans are going to start flowering soon. They are bushing up quite quickly and they're actually looking really, really good. Got the irrigation on them, just doing their thing. I'm really happy with it. Over at my eggplants, and I'm happy to report that I harvested the first of my eggplants this week. And I harvested 8 really, really good sized eggplants and quite clean as well. And there's still plenty of eggplants coming through, so I will be needing to harvest these. These do need their fertilizer, and I keep saying this every week, but I will be doing it this weekend. I'm still struggling just a little bit with spider mites, and as per the rest of my garden, so I'm going to do a little bit of a treatment on these. And finally, I bit the bullet and decided to invest some money into some fruit fly netting. I found a local supplier, they're named Haverford here in Sydney, who supply fruit fly netting, and I have gone and brought some netting both for my capsicums and my jalapenos. I've watched some videos online how the commercial farmers do it, and it's just been draped generally over the plants. It's got them sitting on a bit of stakes just to stop them from laying on top of the plants. So far so good. Hoping that I can extend the life of these capsicums all the way up to late season. I lost a lot of them last year through the fruit flies in December, so I had to pull the whole lot out. One of the things I'll be doing this week is harvesting my first planting of corn, and I'll be looking at clearing this bed on about Friday, Saturday, and I will be planting my second planting, or my third planting actually, of cucumbers. If you want to get succession planting throughout summer, you need to plant them just as your previous planting starts to flower. Looking at planting 2 rows of cucumbers in this corner, but on this side I'll be looking at planting Armenian cucumbers, the white cucumbers, otherwise known in Arabic as mikti. It's a longer growing cucumber. It's actually got a nice flavor to it. If you ever get the chance to try Armenian cucumbers, it's a real treat. They do take longer to grow, but I feel in this location it's going to be quite a good location for them. Now that we're starting to move into summer, I'm looking at planting a mid-season round of tomatoes. I am going to start some new seedlings for myself and for my dad. Probably going to start them out this week, and to get them planted out at Christmas or just after Christmas and the start of January. I am looking at starting a new round of farro, the second planting that I've got planted out, but I'm also looking at planting a variety called Tala, which is a Roma variety of tomatoes, and I haven't tried these before, but I'm going to plant out some of those as well. But besides that, I'm just going to be doing some general maintenance on the garden. It's been going to be another few hot days over 30 degrees here in Sydney, and some big rains coming in Friday, Saturday, so I'm just going to make sure that my garden's ready to take the brunt of those rains, and just make sure that the plants are well taken care of during those heavy rain events. But besides that, happy that we're starting to move into summer. Happy I'm starting to harvest summer veggies. Really excited about what the month of December is going to bring in my patch. Look, thanks a lot everyone for joining me in this video. If you have any questions about where I'm at with my patch or what I'm looking at doing over the next few weeks, please feel free to reach out to me on my socials, Instagram or TikTok, or just leave a comment on this video on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. I really appreciate all the support, and I hope to see you in the next one.